City Council meeting. Thank you for joining us in this remote meeting format, which enables the City Council to meet, hear from the community, and take care of business while keeping everyone safe. Anyone wishing to access the meeting can do so by watching the live stream available on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by following the access instructions listed for this meeting on the public meetings and public webcasts and meeting materials webpage. Tonight's meeting will include a public forum. If you wish to participate and haven't already done so, please raise your virtual hand now to join the speaker's queue in one of two ways. For those viewing the meeting on a computer, laptop, or other device, click once on the hand icon. For those listening to the meeting on a phone, press *9. We will continue accepting raised hands until 7:35. The meeting moderator will unraise or disallow any requests to speak that are made after that deadline. You will have 2.5 minutes to speak. As a reminder, as speakers now have the option of turning on your video when you're called on. As each speaker's turn is announced, the meeting moderator will temporarily promote you to panelist status, and you can unmute and turn on your video if you wish. Also, I encourage everyone to use this new increased access in a responsible way. Our intent is simply to be able to see each other's faces as testimony is given. Any misuse of the platform or violation of the council's code of conduct will result in termination of your speaking privilege. And finally, thank you all for joining us on this summer evening. As always, feel free to contact any one of us individually or together via email or voicemail if there is testimony you were not able to provide or wish to get to us in a different manner. And now I will open this meeting formally with a land acknowledgement. Since time immemorial, the Kalapuya people have been the indigenous stewards of our region, building dynamic communities, maintaining balance with wildlife, and enacting sustainable land practices. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. The city of Eugene is built within the traditional homelands known as the Kalapuya Ilahi. Kalapuya descendants are citizens of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians of Oregon, and continue to make contributions in our communities here and across the lands. We acknowledge the inherent political sovereignty of the 9 federally recognized tribal nations in the state of Oregon and all American Indian, Alaska Native people who live here. In honor of Independence Day on July 4th, I have the pleasure of welcoming some very special guests who will read the Bill of Rights and lead us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Originally from California by way of Arizona, Holly Johnson Keaton has resided in this community for 15 years. Welcome, Holly. Holly earned her BA degree in sociology from the University of Oregon and a master's degree in adult education and higher education from Oregon State University. She currently works as the coordinator of Lane County African American Black Student Success Program at the Lane Education Service District. She is a strong advocate for student success and social justice. On May 18th, Holly was elected as the first Black woman to serve on the Lane Community College Board of Education. She takes great pride in being a strong Black woman who cares about the future of our educational systems. A trailblazer for change, Holly is one to watch. And so with that, Holly, I turn it to you. Please, would you please introduce the group of students we have with us today and ask them to begin reading the Bill of Rights.
Thank you, Mayor Venice. I have the pleasure of introducing Anna Johnson, who is a rising junior at Willamette High School. Go Wolverines. Anna likes to take every opportunity that she can to increase her public speaking skills. And so she partakes in those events whenever she gets the opportunity. And just recently, Anna was hired as one of our junior navigators for the Lane African American and Black Student Success Program. And she completed her duties very well. And in addition to that, Anna also serves on the Mayor's Youth Advisory Board with Mayor Venice. So please welcome Anna Johnson as she reads the Bill of Rights.
Thank you. Preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Third Amendment. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house, without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. The Fifth Amendment. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime, unless on a presentment or an indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy or life of limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Seventh Amendment. In suits at common law where the value is controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. Eighth Amendment. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Ninth Amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, if everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anna, for reading that Bill of Rights. It's refreshing to hear it again and reminds us of our work. And thank you so much, Holly, for joining us today. And congratulations on your new role with LCC. So
thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And with that, we can move to our first item of business tonight, which is committee reports and items of interest. And it looks like we have Councilor Keating ready to end. Councilor Clark, take it away, Councilor Keating.
Thanks, Mayor. And I jumped at the gun to say hi to Holly Johnson, former colleague at LCC on the Lane Community College Board. I lit up when I saw that Holly was going to be presenting alongside a student this evening. So great to see you, Holly, and congratulations on your role at Lane Community College. Mayor, it was good to see you yesterday. Mayor Venice and I were at the groundbreaking of the Very Little Theaters ceremony. I kind of took it a little too serious and threw the dirt a little too far. My apologies to the front row. But it was a well-attended event by the vaccinated theater-going crowd among us, and the Very Little Theater is a beloved and treasured institution. And I'm excited to see the retrofit of the theater, which, by the way, is the oldest working theater west of the Mississippi. So I believe it'll be open for business in early 2022, and they are just moving along full steam ahead. In late June, Mayor, as we all know, an extreme heat wave hit us, and I believe, Mayor, you coined the phrase that we are the test subjects, or we are the, forgive me if I'm fumbling my words, and we're trying to recall your eloquent statement about us being the test case for climate change.
Yes, I said we were the poster child.
Right. 116 Oregonians lost their lives. At least 116. 116 Oregonians left us because of climate-related extreme heat in June in the Pacific Northwest. I am asking Human Services colleagues to do an in-depth report and review about what worked well. Because here in Lane County, there are 0 reported deaths, but unfortunately, there are coroners across the state who are making it clear that the information related to said deaths are not in the public interest. I fundamentally disagree. So I'd like to learn more, while also recognizing what worked well here in Lane County. The City of Eugene staff and Lane County staff rose to the occasion and quickly established cooling centers. But I do believe, I hope you do too, that we need a robust, for-profit, nonprofit, faith-based, and government collaborative endeavor to explore a reverse Egan warming center, establishing cooling centers as climate change is upon us. It is real, it is not going away, and lives are at stake. So look forward to that coming at a Human Services Commission meeting near you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to announce for any of those neighbors who are listening to our meeting tonight that there is a Cal Young Neighborhood Association meeting this Thursday, the 15th, at the Sheldon Community Center at 7 p.m. And I'm sure that we'd all love to see you there, including Councilor Ye, I believe, as well. I also wanted to say that as someone who's received unfair criticism before, I wanted to just say that I agree with Claire that she received emails, and we all received emails that characterized her unfairly and inaccurately, and her emotions were those of someone trying to make the work we do better. And you can agree or disagree with whether or not you think it makes it better, but I believe that her intentions were right and that she's owed an apology by some people who characterized her unfairly. So I just need to say that.
Thank you for that. Councilor Semple.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to reinforce Mike's words. Councilor Syrett's a good counselor. And I admire her insights, knowledge, and incredible ability to give a polished speech just off the cuff. It's fine to not like what we do. You don't have to like anything we do. You don't have to like us. But if you want us to hear you, when you write, be nice, be respectful, tell me what you want. I'm much more likely to get your message. I used to tell my activist friends, when you lose your calm, you lose your power. And that works everywhere. We're all working for a better world in our own ways, and we'll get there faster and happier if we're kind. So please do that. On another subject, I was talking to Councillor Keating about this. We're having tree trauma. It's very painful with construction. We're sacrificing some old friends. The Farmers Market Park Pavilion lost a row of big trees. There's some left, and fingers crossed for them. The now lost their cedar and redwood, and the eWeb old growth is in danger. We can't replace these big trees. We can, plant a ton of trees, but I use this silly analogy. The old trees are like a rolling pin, and you've got to plant enough Q-tips to take up that same diameter. And, these trees are 40 years old. I won't be here, which is a shock to me, but I won't. We've got money for trees. Thank you, Councillor Syrette. We're starting a new plan. We've got Friends of Trees. We're planting trees. And I encourage all of you, if you have a place, plant a tree. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Next is Councillor Ye, and then Councillor Zelenka.
Thanks, Mayor. So I just wanted to give a quick update on Metropolitan Wastewater Management Commission, the folks who take care of your wastewater after you flush. I wanted to share two things. We are expanding some, oh shoot, I lost my place. We're doing some replanting and shade on waterways, and we're expanding that program, and one of the places that has been selected is a property that had some fire damage due to the wildfires that we experienced in the McKenzie area, which I thought was a really great and actually pretty quick turnaround to starting to repair some of those areas that were affected negatively by those fires, which is very encouraging. And I also wanted to report back on something staff was very excited about, that they were lobbying for one of the House bills, House Bill 2344, affectionately called the Wipes Bill. And we are now the second state in the nation to pass a bill requiring do not flush to be labeled on wipes that are indeed not flushable and very much impact wastewater systems. So if you use those, you should see labeling changing. The bill is effective July 2021, and this is very exciting for folks in the wastewater industry. And we were happy to be involved in talking to our legislators about that and explaining the importance. I've heard that they said they would pass the bill as long as they stopped showing them pictures of clogged up wastewater systems. So, and that's all I have to report. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Zelenka.
That's actually true. So I've said this before and on different topics, but society has allowed bullying and demonizing of people you disagree with to be commonplace. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't work. It pisses people off. And if you disagree, you can disagree peacefully. There's no need for personal attacks. The stuff that people said about Claire just isn't any true, as it isn't true about all the other things that people said at other times about other counselors because they disagreed with them. So when you do that, you lose me. I just stop listening. I don't even hear what you said. Your point is lost because you have gone that route. So if you want to be heard, I suggest you change your tactics and now all these people that are objecting to Claire's motions have to overcome that, as well as the hyperbole about the motions. So a double hurdle to cross. On a different note, the police commission, we had a meeting on the 8th. The police commission is hard at work hearing about what the police is doing. We heard the police auditor's annual report that the council heard just a little while ago, plus the Office of Professional Standards annual report. That's internal affairs, and spent several hours talking to the auditor and Cindy Coleman from the police department on that, on those issues. So I just wanted to let you know that the police commission is hard at work looking at all these different policies and is eager to look at even more policies from the recommendations that came out of the ad hoc committee on police policy.
Thank you. Manager, you have some updates to provide.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Two things. The first is actually more kind of present in that we are looking to reschedule Wednesday's JEO meeting. And I know that's short notice, but we did have news come forward that Congressman DeFazio and Secretary of Transportation Buttigieg are going to be in town and doing a news conference that day. They're looking at a number of things around our community and then landing at LTD. And the mayor has a speaking role, and I think several others may be invited. I'll be there and a couple of people from the county. So we were trying to figure out if there was a way to do both things and just ultimately landed, and that's would be dependent on everything running exactly on time. And we know these things don't always happen like that. So we'll be looking to see if we can potentially reschedule that before you go on break, which is soon, by sorting some things out. And if not, we'll probably potentially do those work sessions separately and then come back into the fall jointly to have more discussion. There wasn't a decision to be made. It was more of an update on our progress. The second thing is I did put this in an email, but I just want to say it in case you didn't have a chance to see that. We had a motion to bring back the steam plant deal points before you went on break. And we're not going to be able to do that for not necessarily around time, but there's some issues that came up with that project that just need a little bit more time to flesh out with the developers. So it's just not ready. And we don't want to bring back a work session to you that's just not ready. So I'm assuming that's going to be okay, and we'll be bringing it back to you in the fall.
Thank you so much. And I just want to follow up and round up with, we have, largely because Peter DeFazio is our congressman and he has a position of significant influence and power, has a lot of impact on, his work towards infrastructure. And so that gives him very direct access to the Secretary of Transportation, Peter Buttigieg. We also have a local person, Edward McGlone, who moved up from working at LTD to working with Peter DeFazio, who now works for the Secretary of Transportation. So for any number of reasons, we're kind of, we get center stage, and it's a great opportunity for us to just put ourselves out there as forward thinking, as working on climate change, as working on safe streets and Vision Zero. And so a really, really important opportunity. And this event does completely overlap with our regularly scheduled Wednesday council meeting time. So it has presented a certain amount of jumping through hoops to get us to that place. And if you haven't already, so there will be several of us speaking and having some time to, talk about our city. He will get a little tour. On his way in from Corvallis, he'll see a couple of our both success stories and areas where we have big plans, including bike pedestrian bridge proposal over North Eugene High School, the bridge over Delta Ponds, the 13th Avenue Bikeway, and then of course he'll drive along Franklin Boulevard where we hope to really, we have longstanding plans to improve that transportation corridor. So pretty exciting. And And then not quite in the same level of excitement, but just a report, which is that I have joined the Regional Solutions Board for the Mid-Valley and Mid-Valley and Coast. These are governor appointed economic boards, and had my first meeting last Thursday. So I was eager to serve on this board, feeling that the economic health of the entire region influences the economic health of our community. And it's important for us as a large city in this region to actually hear what the challenges people face and the opportunities that are available through state leadership. So I was anxious to serve on that board and happy to be in that role. With that, I think we are ready to move to the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the items on consent calendar 1.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's Greg. Thank you so much. So that passes. And with that, we are ready to move on to the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues except for those items which have already been heard by a hearings official. When it is your turn, the moderator will announce your name and promote you to panelist status. Please state your name clearly and, for Eugene residents, your ward, if known, before beginning your comments. Each person will have 2.5 minutes to speak. If you are watching the meeting, the timer should be visible. A yellow light will come on when you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. The red light indicates the end of the 2.5 minutes. For those who have connected to the meeting via phone and don't have the benefit of seeing the timer, please be aware that your microphone will be muted at the 2.5 minute mark. I'm seeing that there are a number of folks, but I think just a reminder that we limit the span of time to 90 minutes total. And so just and there we have the list, and a reminder that if you can keep your comments succinct, then it provides more opportunities for others to speak. So with that, I will turn it over to the moderator.
Thank you, Mayor. So right now we are displaying the queue for speakers tonight for the public forum so that you're able to see the order that you are in and that we will be calling. We're going to take just a couple seconds to finish looking at that before starting the forum. All right, first up, we have Danny Noonan, followed by Karin Knudsen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mayor Venus, City Councillors and City Manager Maderi, thank you for the opportunity to give testimony this evening. My name is Danny Noonan. I'm a climate and energy strategist with Breach Collective, a Eugene-based 501c3 nonprofit organization, and I'm a resident of Ward 1. I'm testifying in support of the Fossil Free Eugene campaign this evening, and I firstly wish to thank Councillors Evans, Keating, Semple and Yeh for expressing support for a regulatory approach to gas during the June 16 City Council work session. And I wish to add my voice to others this evening opposing the City Manager's proposal for a new franchise agreement with Northwest Natural, and to call for this council to hold a work session on options for phasing out gas infrastructure in this city. But I want to focus my testimony on the heat wave we experienced at the beginning of this month. As you may have guessed from my accent, I'm originally from Australia, and as an Australian, I'm no stranger to hot summers and big heat waves. In fact, I've hiked through over 100-degree heat in the Australian outback, and I've personally endured several of the hottest days ever recorded in Sydney, which is the city I'm from. But I have never, ever experienced the kind of conditions and heat that I experienced during the Heat Dome event at the end of June. And as someone who works in climate change issues, I know that we cannot afford to treat these events as some kind of anomaly. They're the sign of a changing climate, and these conditions will become more and more common in the coming years. Responding to our rapidly changing climate with piecemeal measures simply isn't good enough. Kicking the can down the road isn't good enough. Renewing franchise agreements that give utilities a free pass to lock in more gas infrastructure isn't good enough. A voluntary emissions reduction agreement that will barely make a dent in the emissions reductions needed to stabilise our climate and transition our city off of fossil fuels isn't good enough. I'm sure others tonight will be speaking to the more technical reasons why the emissions reduction project Northwest Natural is proposing is an inefficient and ineffective way to reduce our gas emissions, but I wanted to use this time to remind the council of the bigger picture and the stakes at play if we don't get this right. Please respond to this current crisis commensurately. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Next, we have Karin Knudsen, and I apologize for mispronouncing. And then next we have Jim New following Karin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to say hello to you all tonight. I was not planning on giving public comment this evening, but I listened to your work session earlier and just wanted to follow with a few thoughts. One is that Mayor Vinnis, I really appreciated a few moments ago as you were speaking of the desire for our community to demonstrate our forward-thinking identity through the work that we support and the projects that we support. Specifically, you were speaking to transportation. And as I guess a reminder to this body, the work of being forward-thinking like leadership is not anecdotal. It's a habit, it's a behavior, it's a way of approaching all of the challenges and policy that you all have to deal with. And specifically related to housing, I would just encourage this body to look very seriously at the crisis that we are in and to look very seriously at every opportunity that you have to do something about that crisis. It is disappointing, to say the least, when we are presented with simple steps to help mitigate some of the challenges that we face in terms of affordability and diversity of housing supply, and see ourselves waffling over the opportunity to make important steps forward. These are incremental steps. It's a structural challenge that we face. We need to address it incrementally and with many different strategies. But the accessory dwelling unit conversation that you all had during the work session, I think is an important one because it indicates how this body will engage with the work of being forward thinking about our housing policy. And that is what we need from you as a body. We need that leadership in our community. We will not solve this crisis or make any difference in the lives of the people who live here without taking that approach every time that we have the opportunity. Councillor Syrett, Councillor Ye, Councillor Keating, Councillor Zelenka, and Councillor Groves wanted to specifically say to the five of you, following on some of the commentary about what is effective and not effective in terms of feedback to council, some positive reinforcement. Thank you, especially to Councillor Syrett and to Councillor Ye for speaking so clearly to the history of engagement around ADUs and the many opportunities that have been presented for people to advocate for sensible, equitable actions with our housing policy. Thank you for Councillor Groves for understanding that we need to take these actions. Thank you to Councillor Zelenka for understanding that there's a connection to our climate goals and to energy efficiency when we allow our units to be built effectively. You have a huge housing supply deficit. You need every action that you can get. Councillor Keating said it in his closure. We have to move forward. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jim New, followed by Carolyn Partridge. Jim, can you please unmute?
Sorry, trying out a new computer here. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry. Mayor, Council, and City Manager. My name is Jim New. I live in Ward 7, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. In Alaska, temperatures are increasing so much that the permafrost is melting, causing the 800-mile-long Trans-Alaska pipeline to structurally fail. Ironically, the oil industry must act to keep the permafrost frozen to maintain an infrastructure that allows it to extract more of the fossil fuels that are causing the warming and heating of the planet. As ridiculous as this sounds, Northwest Gas is attempting to negotiate a franchise agreement that requires the city of Eugene to support a system that prohibits the city's ability to meet its goals of a climate recovery ordinance. Neither of these scenarios have a positive future or are of sound mind. I urge council to have a work session to give a CAP update, requires staff to explain where the 40% gap analysis currently sits, and what happened to the CAP dashboard the mayor requested, and for council to make motions on next steps. It seems the council seems to be having a diet of the same pablum. We have to make a motion to move forward before we burn up. I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Jim. Our next speaker is Carolyn, followed by Sahara Valentine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors, and city manager. My name is Carolyn Partridge, and I live in Ward 2. I'm disappointed by the lack of progress on the Northwest Natural franchise agreement. A lot of time and effort have been devoted to the negotiations over the past 2 years. After all this time and effort, I don't understand why the city is still talking about building trust with Northwest Natural. Trying to build trust with a behemoth fossil fuel company is like trying to build trust with a grizzly bear. The bear is going to do whatever it wants. We need to recognize this and stop the magical thinking that the company will voluntarily do anything significant that interferes with their very profitable business model. Why would they? We are not going to meet our emission reduction goals with a fund for weatherizing gas-heated homes or with incentives to buy high-efficiency gas appliances or with a 15% mix of renewable gas in the pipeline. We need to stop using all natural gas as quickly as possible. If the city wants to do everything in its power to meet these goals, and I think we should, it first must ban any expansion of natural gas. I have read the letter prepared by the Breach Collective, which outlines 3 legal avenues to pursue if you want to pass an expansion ban. I assume all of you have read it. I encourage you to schedule a work session to consider these avenues. I also encourage you to scour the climate action plan for additional steps that can be taken. Regulation is not a dirty word, especially when the forests around us are burning. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Carolyn. Next, we have Sahara, followed by 350 Eugene. Sahara, can you please unmute?
Hi, I just want to say my older sister is going later, and that's why there's 2 Saharas.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mayor Venice, city councilors, and city manager Maderi, thank you for providing an opportunity to testify tonight. My name is Lydia Valentine, and I'm a middle schooler at the village school. I live in Ward 2. At last month's work session on franchise agreement negotiations with Northwest Natural, I was heartened to hear a majority of councilors speak in favor of taking a regulatory approach to the emissions associated with fracked gas consumption in Eugene and tackling head-on the existential crisis that is facing our city. This summer's heat has been so frustrating. When it gets hot, I can't do anything. I just want to lay down and sleep. All my plants died and I couldn't do anything to help them. I can't imagine what others who don't have air conditioning or even a house are doing. It continues to get hotter and hotter, and it makes me wonder what it will be like in the future, even next year. Will all the plants be dead when it's like this every day? How will people survive in this heat? I'm concerned by the council's vote in its June 16th work session to proceed with negotiations for a new franchise agreement with Northwest Natural. This new franchise agreement framework is not going to get us the emission reductions that we need. What it will do is take away the leverage that the city has to tackle our building emissions and raise consumer rates up to 4% to pay for new infrastructure for the corporation to increase their share value and greenwashing their polluting business model. Signing onto a franchise agreement with Northwest Natural is signing away the city's ability to regulate the fossil fuel corporation. What we need is a more comprehensive approach to address our city's emissions and achieve our city's CAP 2.0 goals. I need you to schedule a 2-hour work session to discuss all of the options available to the city, including all emission reduction pathways relating to gas in buildings, and motions to have city staff draft concrete regulatory ordinances to gas. The city should move forward with the pathway that provides the greatest reduction in the shortest time. Franchise agreement negotiation should not be discussed separately, but as one potential option among many more effective alternatives. Thank you for your time. Please protect my future.
Thank you, Lydia. Next speaking, we have 350 Eugene, followed by Dylan Plummer.
Good evening, councilors, mayor, city manager Maderi. My name is Patty Hine. I live in the county. Thank you for the opportunity to give public comment tonight and for your forward-thinking leadership. As you consider city manager Maderi's alternate approach to work with Northwest Natural Gas on this voluntary state program that incentivizes gas utilities to reduce greenhouse gases, please review Ethan Nelson's comments last October about this program. His remarks appear in a review of the PUC's work plan as it pertains to the governor's executive order 2004, which directs her agencies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I sent this link with his comments to you on Friday. Ethan Nelson did not think in October that the program had promise for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and I agree. No projects have been submitted and approved since its inception in 2013. I'm concerned that despite good intentions of the manager, such projects are distractions and delay the real and immediate work that needs to be done, like using a regulatory framework to put a moratorium on new gas infrastructure like many communities are doing. Several months ago, 350 Eugene, along with the Fossil Free Eugene Coalition, sponsored legal work to research what cities can do outside franchise agreements to work toward a managed decline of fossil gas. Breach Collective attorneys have offered to meet and elaborate on the research, but no one from the city has returned their call. I know you must be curious about what they found, or are you not interested in the time and money citizens like us in the civic world have invested to help you? Please follow up on what the counselor suggested last time at the work session, that you have a very thorough and comprehensive work session to look at what the status of the CAP 2.0 progress is. What has happened to the gap analysis and the important 16 steps there? Please complete the research on this regulatory approach to limiting fossil gas and evaluate and then abandon the Senate Bill 844 alternative approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dylan Plummer, followed by Seth Sadowski.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Mayor Venice, city councilors, and city manager Maderi, thank you so much for providing an opportunity to testify tonight. My name is Dylan Plummer, and I'm a senior campaign representative for the environmental nonprofit, the Sierra Club. I live in Ward 3, and I want to start by saying a big thank you to all of the councilors that expressed a desire to discuss and implement a regulatory approach to greenhouse gas emission reductions related to the direct use of fracked gas in buildings at the work session in June. I also want to say a special thank you to councilors Matt Keating and Greg Evans for your vote not to move forward with the unproductive franchise negotiations with Northwest Natural, and to prevent the city manager from preparing and submitting a joint application with Northwest Natural under Senate Bill 844 to the Oregon PUC for a project that would likely do little or nothing to reduce emissions while wasting our city staff's valuable time and raising rates for Eugene residents up to 4%. As our city and our region faces the climate crisis firsthand, just recently having experienced what Multnomah County officials described as a climate-driven, quote-unquote, mass casualty event in the form of the heat dome, it is imperative that we're doing everything that we can to reduce our city's greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning all of our residents to clean and reliable electric infrastructure. Now is not the time to be pursuing a deal with a corporation that's part of the industry responsible for these crises. making concessions to a fossil fuel corporation, and sacrificing the once-in-a-career opportunities that you all have to move our cities towards clean, renewable energy. By signing onto a franchise agreement with a termination clause that allows the corporation to walk away at any time with 30 days notice, you're allowing them to buy greater influence in our city's future. Anytime that this council considers any kind of regulation that might harm their business model, the Northwest Natural will be able to threaten to walk away from that deal and retract the small concessions that they might have provided in the new terms of the franchise agreement. As you can see, that would be absolutely devastating for any potential of regulating the company. Additionally, engaging with the company on a joint SB 844 application is best described in the words of City of Eugene Intergovernmental Affairs Officer Ethan Nelson. Quote, "The city questions the value this action would have towards a meaningful and systemic reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Our recommendation is to use the staff time and resources on another priority project." It's time that the council... Oh, sorry. It's time that the city council scheduled a 2-hour-long work session to see all of the different solutions on the table and to take the most cost-effective and quickest way and most effective way to reduce our emissions in line with our CAP 2.0 goals. And just another, again, thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dylan. Next, we have Seth, followed by Rabbi Ruhi Sophia.
Good evening, Mayor Venice, councilors, city manager. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Great. I wasn't planning to speak tonight and I don't have a good speech prepared, but I just watched your work session and I am frankly appalled, and I'm trying to figure out how to tell you about it. We've been trying to get some modest improvements to the city's ADU code for about 5 years. There have been public hearings after public hearings and votes to do nothing and LUBA appeals and votes to do nothing. Everything you voted to delay on tonight has been discussed before. All of these things were discussed at the public hearing, I believe, that we had 2 months ago. I'm frustrated that there's a majority of city council unwilling to do one of the smallest, easiest things to address our housing crisis and our climate crisis. I find that shocking. I'm also yet frustrated that you feel no urgency to deal with these things. The majority feels no urgency. I'm also shocked by the hypocrisy of people who frequently make motions that the public hasn't seen to make a big deal over time for the public to comment before we vote on something that we had a public hearing about 2 months ago. I'm also frustrated by councilors Clark, Semple, and Zelenka talking about how the tone of the attacks on Councilor Surratt by email were such a problem when they went and did exactly what the people speaking with that tone wanted them to do.
Seth, we can't hear you. Seth, your audio has stopped. Seth, I believe, oh.
And they will at a lower climate cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Our next speaker is Rabbi Ruhi Sophia. However, it looks like they have fallen off. So we will go on to Martha Bryson. And following Martha Bryson, we will have Trotter.
My name is Martha Bryson and I live in the county. I want to speak to the new ordinance to take effect 7/28 regarding those living in RVs to move every 72 hours. It is just another way to criminalize homelessness when the city provides no safe ground. It is discrimination for which the city of Eugene should be held liable. For those with mental health issues and cognitive disabilities to comply. I implore you to have the political will to not enforce this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Up next, we have Trotter, followed by Ann Pernick.
Hello. Thank you for providing me an opportunity to testify tonight. My name is Sophia Trotter, and I'm testifying on behalf of Sunrise Eugene, a youth climate activist group. I live in Ward 1, and I want to thank the councilors Semple, Evans, Keating, and Ye that spoke at last month's Northwest Natural Franchise Agreement work session about the need for a regulatory approach to greenhouse gas emissions associated with frack gas. Today, I want to share a story from June 27th, the hottest day on record in Eugene. I was doing outreach for my unhoused neighbors at the camp near West 13th Avenue and Chambers Street. We brought frozen water bottles, Gatorade, chips, ice packs, and trash bags. I was walking through the camp with my friend passing things out when I heard yelling from one of the tents. The voice sounded scared. Then I saw a woman run out with a dog in her arms. The dog's body was limp, and my heart dropped. She ran to the shade and laid the dog down. Everyone in the area gathered around and put the ice packets that we had passed out onto the dog. I was terrified, to say the least. We ran over to the group and I looked in the dog's eyes and they were glazed and empty. The dog had passed out from heat exhaustion and I had to leave before I found out if the dog was going to be okay. The camp has little to no shade, and being there for only the few hours that I was in the morning was enough to make me dizzy. I'd also like to add that it is my assessment that cooling centers are great, but the reality is a lot of unhoused people are not able to get to them for a variety of reasons. What we really need is affordable housing. Seeing all that I did that day was a painful reminder that the impacts of climate disasters are the most devastating for our most vulnerable. And my generation is coming of age in a world that seems to be ending, and glaring injustices are ubiquitous. That is why I'm here today, even when I have homework, even when I've been missing sleep, and asking that our city is doing all that we can to tackle the crisis of climate change. My specific ask today is that the City Council schedule a 2-hour work session to discuss all the options available. All emissions reductions pathways relating to gas and buildings should be discussed in one work session, and the city should move forward with a pathway that provides the greatest reduction in the shortest time. Franchise agreement negotiations should not be discussed separately, but as one potential option among many more effective alternatives. The work session must include motions to have city staff draft concrete regulatory ordinances to gas. I'd also like to mention briefly that I'm concerned by the council's vote in its June 16th work session to proceed with negotiations for a new franchise agreement with Northwest Natural. I think giving the company the power to walk away.
Thank you, Sophia. Your time is up. Up next, we have Ann Pernick, followed by Sahara Valentine.
Hi, are you able to hear me okay? Mayor Venice, City Councilors, and City Manager Maderi, thank you for providing an opportunity to testify tonight. My name is Ann Pernick, and I'm from Portland on Clackamas and Cowlitz territory, so I've been inside the heat dome with you all. I'm also with Safe Cities at Stand at Earth. Safe Cities started in the US and is a rapidly growing, increasingly international movement of communities protecting local health and safety and global climate through local government action. The community leadership and the city leadership in Eugene through this process of exploring how the franchise agreement could be a valuable tool in a just transition to renewable energy is noteworthy. It was exciting to hear a majority of councilors show support for the very needed regulatory approach to emissions from gas in the work session last month. Approaches that, as it was stated earlier, a growing number of communities have already taken. It was also clear how necessary it is going forward to have a comprehensive opportunity to talk about many of the subjects that came up, including the regulatory approach, terms of a new franchise agreement, how Eugene is doing on emissions reduction goals, the SB 844 proposal. These are all tied together and should be discussed together. And then when research revealed concerns among the city's own staff about an SB 844 approach, the concerns that were shared with you all by email, it became even clearer that a comprehensive work session to fully explore all these connected issues would be essential. I encourage you to schedule a work session as soon as possible to do that, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anne. Next, we have Sahara, followed by Matthew Uke.
Hello, Mayor Vinnis, City Councilors, and City Manager Maderi. Thank you for providing me an opportunity to testify tonight. My name is Sahara and I'm 16 years old. I'm with Sunrise Eugene and live in Ward 2. At last month's work session on franchise agreement negotiations with Northwest Natural, I was really excited to hear a majority of councilors speak in favor of taking a regulatory approach to the emissions associated with fracked gas consumption in Eugene and tackling head-on the crisis that is facing our city. A few weeks ago, Eugene and many other cities felt the hottest days in their recorded history. It was only June at the time and already hotter than last year. This is more than scary. This is life-threatening. Over 100 people died across Oregon due to a climate-driven mass casualty event. This crisis is already costing us lives and massive damage to basic infrastructure. I want to thank Councilors Semple, Evans, Keating, and Ye off the bat for speaking about the need for a regulatory approach to greenhouse gas emissions associated with fracked gas. I feel very grateful to have councilors that are looking out for my generation's future. However, I'm concerned by the councilors' vote in its June 16th work session to proceed with negotiations for a new franchise agreement with Northwest Natural. This new agreement framework is not going to get us the emissions reductions that we need. It will take away the leverage the city has to tackle our building emissions and raise consumer rates up to 4% to pay for new infrastructure for the corporation to increase their share value and greenwash their polluting business model. In particular, I am especially worried about the efficacy of the voluntary emissions reduction program proposed by Northwest Natural. Specifically, signing on to a franchise agreement with Northwest Natural with a termination clause like the one being discussed is signing away the city's leverage to regulate the fossil fuel corporation. Giving up this leverage in exchange for modest, cost-inefficient emissions reductions would do little, when what we need is a more comprehensive approach to address our city's emissions and achieve our city's CAP 2.0 goals. Please schedule a 2-hour work session to discuss all the options available to the city, including all emission reduction pathways relating to gas in buildings and motions to have the city staff draft concrete regulatory ordinances to gas. The city should move forward with the pathway that provides the greatest reduction in the shortest time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sahara. Next, we have Matthew, followed by 350 Eugene.
Hello. My name's Matthew Uke, and I'm a resident of Ward 4. I just wanted to pop in real quick. Some disturbing comments I'd heard at the work session earlier, talking about how rent assistance is perfectly fine, so it's okay to take from that and put to something else. While it seems might have been inspired by a rounding up to a whole number type of discussion, the idea that the years-long voucher list for rent vouchers is still something I think is pretty, pandemic here in Eugene. I'm also still concerned, as always, about talk of multi-use, like multi-zoning housing, right? As being a subsidizing thing to help our housing crisis, when we need denser, lower income, targeted housing, so that way folks can have more options, not having to bunk up, not having to stay in harmful places just because they need to split the rent with someone. And so I really want y'all to analyze and look at the impact and the shortcomings of the rental voucher system before you say that no more rental assistance is needed. And then Northwest Natural, like, oh my gosh, come on, y'all. I know you know better. Please, these recommendations, they sound amazing. I'm gonna look into them. Thank you all. I yield. Rest of my time, sorry.
Thank you, Matthew. Up next, we have 350 Eugene, followed by Peter Dragovich. 350 Eugene, please unmute.
I'm good. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Deborah McGee. I've lived in Lane County for 40 years and Eugene is my city. I was hopeful when I heard about the possible path forward involving the Senate Bill 844 with Northwest Natural regarding the franchise agreement. In fact, I was so excited to learn about what projects had helped reduce emissions from fossil gas. I read the bill. And I also read the 2021 legislature report, but I still couldn't see what projects had reduced emissions from gas. So I called the Oregon PUC and I spoke over the phone with the author of the 2021 Senate Bill 844 progress report to the legislature. Her name is Kimberly Erb. She's very nice. She is a utility strategy and planning manager with the Oregon Public Utility. She said that since 2013, none of the 3 Oregon gas utilities have submitted projects to reduce emissions via this program, with the exception of Northwest Natural Gas submitting one, which was denied because it would not effectively reduce emissions at a reasonable cost. Kimberly said the way it was written, it's pretty hard for the gas utilities to qualify for the program. So it turns out that reducing greenhouse gas emissions at a reasonable cost is what the program requires, and it's very, very difficult. So really, Senate Bill 844 is not the path forward. We need a path that manages the decline of burning fossil fuels. The path forward has to include an analysis of whether or not we can even meet our climate action plan or our climate recovery ordinance goals if we allow the expansion of distribution and burning of gas in our community. We know that Northwest Natural is worried. They've hired a new PR person. They're sending out satisfaction surveys. We know that they are fighting for their business survival, but we are fighting for survival as life as we know it. And it's not fair for their business model to create an unstable climate for my children's future. My children have a right to a stable climate. Please use your power as the electeds to do the benefit for all of us. We must move toward a managed decline of burning fossils for energy. Thank you so much for all your good work.
Thank you, Deborah. Up next, we have Peter, followed by Charles.
Peter.
Yes.
Thanks, baby.
Ward 5. Today, there are 13 active wildfires in our state that have consumed 255,000 acres. That's already a quarter of the 1 million acres that burned last year. The wildfire situation in Oregon and the West is not normal. News and weather reports are using new words to describe extreme events like these. Words I don't remember hearing in the past, such as bombogenesis or bomb cyclone, where there's a sudden drop in atmospheric pressure causing a cyclone to form quickly, like the bomb cyclone that slammed the Oregon coast in November 19, with winds up to 106 miles per hour and blocking I-5 with blizzard-like conditions. Or the term pyrocumulus clouds, which are formed when heated air from a fire carries moisture from plants and soil upwards, sometimes reaching a height of 30,000 feet. These clouds can produce their own lightning. This type of cloud is rare, but formed a week ago in the early stages of the Klamath County fire. Or the term fire-nado or fire tornado, like the one at the Tennant Fire in the Klamath on June 29th, that reached hundreds of feet into the air, uprooted trees, and lasted a half hour, described as a very rare event. Or the term atmospheric river, such as the one 6 months ago, that, quote, maxed out the scales as a top-tier level 5 event, end quote, and caused flooding, landslides, and sewer overflows in Portland. Or the term heat dome that killed over 100 Oregonians and 500 people in the Pacific Northwest of British Columbia. It also killed 1 billion sea creatures such as mussels, starfish, and clams. Or the terms D3, extreme drought, and D4, exceptional drought, which now affects 60% of the Western US, with the land area subject to the highest level, D4, exceptional drought, easily the highest recorded. Human activity is causing rapid changes, contributing to extreme weather conditions. We need to stop using the term climate change. Climate change was promoted by a political strategist in 2003 as a way to downplay human-caused global warming. Oh, it's just the climate. It always changes. No, science tells us otherwise. More accurately, it is global warming. Global warming caused 75% by humans burning fossil fuels. As someone who negotiated franchise renewals for a city of similar size as Eugene for a good part of my career, I believe the SB 844 process proposed for the gas franchise renewal will be ineffectual. The City Council needs to take all steps legally possible, including those outlined by the Breach Collective, to move us away from a destructive dependence on fossil fuels. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Up next, we have Charles Arefford, followed by Ed McMahon.
Hi, this is Chuck Arford, and it's a real privilege to be with you all. And I do appreciate all counselors and the mayor, and I appreciate the work that you do. I bring a heavy heart this evening. As others have said, the recent record-shattering heat wave killed hundreds in the Pacific Northwest, maybe over 1,000. The town of Lytton, Canada smashed the Canadian high temperature record, then was engulfed by a forest fire and burned to the ground. Climate scientists are stunned, shocked, and speechless, as such high extreme temperatures were not expected for decades or into the middle of the century, so 2 or 3 decades, yet here we are. And we don't have 2 or 3 decades to spare. The IPCC said we had 12 years to seriously cut greenhouse gas emissions 3 years ago. So do the math. That's plus 8 years minus 20 or 30 years. Does anyone think we're going to break out of this current cycle of heat, drought, and fires? We could get a couple of years respite, but generally it's going to get much worse. We're seeing just the tip of the iceberg in terms of climate chaos. The only thing that gives me hope is that methane leaves the atmosphere within about 10 years, while CO2 is going to stay up there for a century. And since methane currently traps 25% of the greenhouse heat, if we were to slash methane emissions now, we might be able to reduce warming in a decade or so. This is as real as I can get. There's no other side to this story, not jobs or consumer choice or affordable power, because it's the end of civilization within our lifetimes. Northwest Natural, your commercial showing happy families, grandparents and children, and new home buyers wanting natural gas, they're obsolete. It's all going away. The next Northwest Natural commercial should list the names of the hundreds of folks who died in the heat wave. That's reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Our next speaker is Ed, and Ed is the final speaker for tonight's forum for those that signed up for 7:35.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors, city manager.
Ed?
Yes.
Your sound is very distorted.
Is that better?
Yes, that is better.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, councilors, and city manager. I'm Ed McMahon, the Executive Director of the Home Builders Association of Lane County at 1065 River Road.
Ed, your sound just cut out. Ed, it seems that you may be frozen. Ed, we cannot hear you. Your sound cut out and you seemed frozen, so you can go ahead and continue. Your sound is distorted. Maybe lean back a little bit again, and then yes.
Thank you.
And we can restart.
Sorry for that. While discussing the need for more front doors, I asked you to handle the construction excise tax discussion with an abundance of caution. This is no time to be increasing the cost of housing. I appreciate your service to our community. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ed. That is our final speaker for the list that had signed up before 7:35 p.m. for the forum.
Thank you so much, Julie, for moderating, and thanks to all of you for your testimony tonight. It was helpful and informative, and I see that Councilor Surratt has a comment, so I will turn it to you, Councilor Surratt, and then to Councilor Keating.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who came to speak to us. I'm sorry that a few folks had some technical issues that cut their time short. Looking forward to when we are able to meet in person again. although I think we will have an option for folks to call in, but then we'll hopefully have fewer of these kinds of technical glitches that interfere with people communicating with us. I just wanted to make a few comments. I appreciated the breadth of input. I wanted to say I'm a little disappointed with some of the advocacy from the climate advocates taking our IGR staff members' testimony out of context. The testimony that you are saying proves that the City of Eugene does not think the 844 program is worthy was not actually Ethan Nelson doing that. He was providing public comment to the Public Utility Commission's work plan and suggesting that there were other activities at that point than working on the rules for this program that the City of Eugene believes should have been given higher priority. He was not speaking against the 844 projects. And so to offer that testimony now to suggest that we've somehow changed our position is disingenuous and does not meet the usual level of thoughtful advocacy that we receive from climate advocates. And then I wanted to respond to Matthew Yuke's concern about what we were talking about with our rental assistance is not housing vouchers. Housing vouchers are provided through Housing and Urban Development federal programming, and they go to Lane County, who administers housing vouchers. We were talking about the rental assistance to help people who were behind on their rent because of COVID. And we have about $34 million that have come into Lane County to help people pay the rent that they owe. And the county has told us they have enough to help people pay the rent that they owe through 2023, I believe, or 2025, several years now. So our $330,000 odd dollars that we were talking about would be wouldn't necessarily be as useful in that arena, and we are wanting to look to our the rental housing advocates for suggestions on what we might do with it. And then, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Keating.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a point of inquiry. I recall a recent conversation revolving around our operating agreement that would extend the time that we would allow folks to sign up for public comment. And I don't recall if we settled on a time or if we wanted to extend it 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But I thought that for a 7:30 meeting start that we had discussed extending the time that folks could sign up to 7:40. But I could be wrong. So just asking for some clarification there. I don't necessarily need it now, but if staff could come back with either a reminder as to what we settled on and or a recommendation by the next time we meet, that would be most welcome. Mayor, I wanted to thank folks who testified today, especially in regards to requesting council move forward with a work session on the CAP update, in particular, determining what our legal options are in regards to emission reduction as swiftly and quickly as possible. I can't recall if it was Carolyn Partridge. I was taking feverish notes, but there was one comment in particular that really hit home, that regulation is not a dirty word, especially when forests around us are burning. On the heels of the greatest heat, climate, I'll use climate change for lack of a better term, but climate disaster around the Pacific Northwest. I believe it was the second greatest natural disaster in the history of the Pacific Northwest in regards to the death toll. It is not lost on me that climate change is real, and we must do everything in our power as a municipality to regulate appropriately the use of fossil fuels, both in the transportation sector and in regards to building and in our homes. Thank you, Mayor. I look forward to a robust conversation when the work session comes up.
Thank you very much. Any other counselors wanting a moment to comment? I will just say that that I agree. We are due for an update on our status progress on the CAP 2.0, and I think as we've all mentioned, we have an ongoing negotiation with the Northwest Natural on the discussion of the franchise agreement. But we have many other components that we can be looking at and that we are looking at, and so I think it is time for council to get another update and perhaps look at which ones rise to the top of the list within those limits. So that's coming. It'll come after your summer break. And thank you to everybody else who testified. And with that, I believe we are ready to load it up. We are ready for our next agenda item. And that is an ordinance amending the Eugene Springfield Metropolitan Area General Plan Diagram and the Whitaker Plan Use Diagram. So I will turn that over to the manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight's action is a request to amend the Metro Plan and the Whitaker Refinement Plan land use diagrams from light medium industrial to mixed use, and to change the zoning from I2 light medium industrial to SW Whitaker special area with site review overlay for property at 1400 Cross Street. I know that's a lot of planning and land use terms. The applicant requested this change to allow for a more diverse range of uses. And before tonight, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval, and you held a public hearing just under 2 months ago. Tonight, you have a chance to deliberate and potentially take action on this request, and we have staff here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. I think I will turn it over to Council President to put a motion on the table.
Thanks, Mayor. So I move to adopt the ordinance included as attachment B to this AIS, amending the Eugene Springfield Metropolitan Area General Plan Diagram and the Whitaker Plan Land Use Diagram to redesignate the property identified as Assessor's Map 17-04-25-41, Tax Lot 7000, and Assessor's Map 17-04-25-42, Tax Lot 100 from light medium industrial to mixed use, and rezone the property from I2 light medium industrial with SR site review overlay to SW Whitaker special area with SR site review overlay.
Second.
Any questions or discussion about this? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you. That passes 8-0. Our next item is also an action item, an ordinance vacating Slocum Drive, Songbird Loop, and public utility easement. And again, I turn to the city manager.
Yes, thank you. So the applicants for this proposal are looking to vacate 2 undeveloped rights-of-way and an easement on the west side of the city. The rights-of-way for Slocum Drive and Songbird Loop were created through a partition process, and as a result, the vacation requires the city council approval. They've never been developed as planned, and the applicant has requested the vacation to facilitate a proposed development plan, which includes medium and high density residential development. So tonight you have a chance to deliberate and potentially take action on this request.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to turn to Councilor Yang to put a motion on the table.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the ordinance included as attachment C to this AIS, vacating Slocum Drive, Songbird Loop, and public utility easement.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you so much. That passes 8-0. And now our next action, authorize the city to acquire the MGP site. And I'll turn this over to manager again.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, both of the next two, this action and the next action are they're very much related. I sent you an email about this last week, and it's related to the direction you gave me in December as the Urban Renewal Director agency director to purchase the manufactured gas plant site, which is that last remaining piece at EWEB that we need to complete the roundabout, potentially provide some parking for the steam plant. It's kind of a critical last piece. And we did all that with the understanding that the Urban Renewal Agency was going to purchase the property and then give it to the city. So it was going to flip over to the city's ownership. And what we've learned through this process is that based on some negotiations and EWEB's third-party settlement partners, it's actually going to be way more complicated, probably more expensive, and a little bit more of a risk to the city to do it in that way. And so what tonight's action does is allows you to change that so that the city is actually buying the property outright, and then the Urban Renewal Agency is reimbursing the city as part of the supplemental budget. So you get the same final outcome, far simpler process with less risk to the city. So that's what it is. Both of these are the same, well, same, only different agencies. And we do have staff here if you have more questions about that.
Okay, thank you. Again, I will turn to Councilor Ye to put it on the table.
Thanks, Mayor. I move to authorize the city manager to sign a purchase and sale agreement for the city's acquisition of the MGP site for $400,000 using Riverfront Urban Renewal Funds, and that includes as one of the conditions of closing the City Council's adoptions of amendments to EC 2.196.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Councilor Keating.
Mayor, if I could just get clarification for the last part in regards to the way I interpret it, and I could be wrong. The way Council President Ye read it, adopting this prevents future amendments. Is that an accurate interpretation?
I don't believe so. I think what we've done is we've taken the original motion and just inserted the city of Eugene instead of urban renewal. So that original motion also included some language around code changes we agreed to as part of the overall deal points. If that makes
sense. That's correct. So Councilor Keating, if you're referring to the EC 2.196, that was you had a public hearing on that ordinance a few months ago, and it was as a condition of closing, those amendments as proposed would be what would be need to be adopted by the council before it would actually close. There's nothing that prevents the council from future amending it. There's some good faith dealings that we're engaging in with EWEB, but it's certainly, there's no prohibition on a future amendment, either in this motion or otherwise.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay, with that, all in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you very much. That passes 8-0. And now I adjourn the meeting of the Eugene City Council and convene a meeting of the Eugene Urban Renewal Agency for essentially this same action, authorizing the Urban Renewal Agency to pay for the MGP site. So I'll turn that over to the manager.
Trying to unmute. Exactly that. This is just the second part of the motion that authorizes the agency to repay that.
Councilor Ye?
Thanks, Mayor. Move to authorize the expenditure of $400,000 of Riverfront Urban Renewal Funds for acquisition of the MGP site.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that passes 8-0. Thank you all very much. It was a big night. Appreciate all your work. And with that, we are adjourned.